Mic'd up.
Welcome, everybody, to Yankees Coast to Coast. For those of you who don't know the song, that's Brass Bonanza, the goal song for the Hartford and Binghamton Whalers throughout the 70s and 80s. Used to be for Carolina Hurricanes as well, but they've since changed it. So, the Yankees stole one today. I'll be flying solo. Adam is dancing up a storm on Broadway. He's an excellent tap dancer. They stole one today. But there are a couple of things that we do want to talk about, or at least I want to talk about. It's a royal we. Lineup tonight. I do understand why they wanted to get Rosario in the game. Obviously, it worked out very well with his 2 homers and 4 RBIs being the player of the game. But what I don't understand is why did they sit McMahon against the righty instead of Caballero against the righty? Especially since we know on Thursday's game, Springs, the lefty, is going to pitch, and they're going to have to sit McMahon that day as well. All of these things with regard to sitting Mr. McMahon, and they're sitting McMahon right after Boone spent 2 days talking about how McMahon is looking good. He sees some good things. Well, if he's really seeing some good things, why sit him against the right-handed pitcher? Again, no problem playing Rosario. You know, you want to get the guys some playing time. At least they didn't sit Rice for Goldschmidt with Rice being so hot. But why not sit Caballero? I thought during the beginning of the season or during the preseason, the reason they had McMahon play shortstop is he's the backup shortstop. Of course, the other piece of this equation is, again, Kate Winquist, who did make an appearance in the bullpen today. He's taking up a roster spot. And that roster spot could be a left-handed hitting infielder by the name of Oswaldo Cabrera, who, if he's healthy enough, should be on the team. And they're not going to use Winquist, so it's a wasted roster spot. But why did they sit McMahon against the right-handed pitcher when they know they're going to sit him again on Thursday? I'm sure the Caballero is going to play tomorrow. But if he doesn't, I wouldn't blame them. I mean, why not play McMahon at short tomorrow and Rosario at third base after the guy got 2 hits? I don't care if it's a righty and it's Severino pitching against the Yankees. But it'll be interesting to see what the Yankees do tomorrow. I said do tomorrow with their lineup. But they did come from behind and win, and the guy who they stuck in the lineup, which they do deserve credit for, is Mr. Ahmed Rosario, the player of the game. A couple of other things that I wanted to talk about is Schlittler battled would be the right word, because he certainly didn't have his best stuff today. Did throw strikes. He threw 84 pitches and 58 were strikes, so that means he had 26 balls, which is more than a 2-to-1 ratio of strikes to balls, which is excellent, and it's always good to see. Again, he didn't walk anybody, but he was a little lower on the miles per hour, but that might have to do with the fact that it was freezing cold at the stadium. You know, game time temperature, I think, was below 50, and it had to be lower than that. And the wind chill, it was 43 at the start of the game, as a matter of fact. And the wind chill had to be, a good 5 to 10 degrees lower than that. I'm here in California, and I got the A's broadcast. Had to listen to Dallas Braden, one of the biggest Yankee haters ever. He hates the Yankees. He hates Yankee Stadium. Does like New York City, though. But Schlittler didn't seem as unhittable, obviously. He gave up his first 3 runs of this season, 7 strikeouts, no walks in 5 innings. His fastball, didn't hit the 98. He hit 96, 97, and a little less than that. And, of course, in the cold weather, the breaking ball is hard to throw. But he did battle through 5 innings without his best stuff in the cold weather. And just like Fried did on Sunday, he really just gave the Yankees a chance to win, even though he didn't have his best stuff, which is what makes for a great pitcher. His fastball seemed a little bit flatter. He didn't have as much cut on his cutter, and his sinker didn't have as much sink. So I think I'm going to chalk that up to the weather, but the guy did come through with 5 innings, over a 2-to-1 ratio strikes to ball, 7 strikeouts, no walks, even though he allowed 3 runs, the first 3 runs he's allowed all season. The other half of the equation is, who is Aaron Savali to shut down the Yankees like this? I mean, he's not a bad pitcher, but he's not a strikeout and inning guy. And he struck out 6 guys in 5 innings. Yankees bats just couldn't figure him out, which cracks me up. Um, you know, it's a challenge when the top of the order doesn't hit. Thankfully, today they got a couple of hits from the bottom of the order, specifically 2 home runs from Mr. Rosario. But Wells went 1 for 3. He had a double. Caballero went 1 for 4. He had a double. Jazz went 1 for 4. He had a single in the inning that Rosario hit the home run, I believe. Nope, it was a different inning. Jazz had the single in. But what I did notice is um, the struggles that the Yankees had against Savali again, and then in the fifth they did get the leadoff runner on, and again in the sixth they got the leadoff runner on, which was Caballero on a double, and they couldn't score in either the fifth or the sixth, which was opportunities lost by the Yankees. But in the eighth, they did come back alive with regard to the offense. Single for Bellinger to lead off our old friend Mark Leiter. Rice blooped a single in. Stanton knocked in a single, which was a weird knuckleball, wind aided. Jazz, man, they've got to stop this guy from challenging. It was a horrible challenge. It's just unbelievable. It's just ridiculous. But they did have first and second. They did have one run in and first and second and nobody out, which is a good opportunity for Jazz to bunt. But with the lineup being what it was behind them, with Rosario, who did have the homer earlier, and Wells and Caballero, bunting is not that attractive an option because these guys aren't hitting, as opposed to what the A's did with their number 9 hitter, Denzel Clark, who can hit a third grader's weight. But he bunted with 2 strikes and had a sacrifice, and then later in the game he tried to bunt his way on as well. But the Yankees can't do a sacrifice bunt when they have nobody hitting behind the guy that's going to bunt. So it was an interesting inning. And then, of course, Rosario saved the day with the 3-run homer to make it a 5-3 win. The other thing that we should talk about is, boy, they've fallen in love with Hendrick real quickly here, the Yankees. Pitched again today. I think it's his 6th outing of the season. Yeah, actually, he's seventh outing of the season already for him, and he pitched effectively. Although it was interesting that he walked the left-handed batter and got a couple of right-handers out, and then of course Cruz came in, and Cruz did what Cruz does. He walked a couple of guys, struck out a guy when he needed it, and had soft contact in an inning in the third. Picked up a nice win on that one, and then. Which Bednar are we going to get, and how many pitches is he going to have to throw? Bednar came in the ninth, did an outstanding job, threw 14 pitches, 9 of them for strikes. The pest that is Jeff McNeil against the Yankees, he was able to strike him out. He was able to get a bloop for the pinch hitter Cortez, which Judge settled under, and then Kurtz hit a skyrocket up to right field for Judge to end the game. One thing I do want to say about the A's is their lineup is dumber than the Yankees lineup. At least the Yankees have an attempt to have a guy on base when Judge gets up, even though he should be batting third. But Nick Kurtz, who does not have a homer and got his first 2 RBIs of the season today, batting leadoff, even with a high on-base percentage, is just dumb. Then they have Langoliers, a bopper who strikes out a lot, batting second. Soderstrom batting third, which is a good hitter, bat third, and Rooker batting cleanup, which is a good choice as well. And Jacob Wilson, who's supposed to be a table setter, who also is off to a slow start, is batting fifth, and he has no power. The A's lineup, you got to question what they're doing with their lineup as well. Whereas the Yankees had Grisham, who, as you saw on yesterday's show, we gave a lot of love to with the way that he has been playing offensively. And, of course, today he went out there 0 for 5 with no strikeouts and no walks. Judge got a catcher's interference in the first inning and a walk. Bellinger got a single to start off the inning where they scored the 3 runs. Rice got a single. Stanton got a single, knocked in a run. Chisholm got out. And then Rosario hit the 3-run homer to put the Yanks away. McMahon came in the ninth for defense. But overall, you can't really argue with anything that the Yankees did in this game other than the lineup choice, which, Boone said he wanted to get Rosario in the lineup. Fine. He wanted to get Rosario in the lineup. Does that mean he's going to get Goldschmidt in the lineup? Hopefully not before Thursday when there's a left-handed pitcher on the mound. But again, you have to ask, why did they sit the left-handed hitting McMahon today against a right-handing pitcher who's not overpowering. If you want to sit him against an overpowering pitcher, you sit him tomorrow against Severino. Good luck to those of you going to the game tomorrow. It's going to be just as, if not colder. But the Yankees have a game tomorrow, 7 o'clock at the stadium, 4 o'clock for those of us out here on the West Coast. And the pitchers will be Luis Severino against Will Warren. We'll see what kind of lineup the Yankees come up with. I'm anticipating McMahon being back in there, which would be a silly choice considering that Rosario hit 2 home runs. He should be in the lineup tomorrow, even though it's another right-handed pitcher on the mound. You got to play a guy when he's actually seeing the ball and hitting the ball well. But I would like to see them maybe sit Caballero, who did have a single and stole a base, a good stolen base in the 8th inning after the runs were scored. But that's about it for the game. Schlittler was not as sharp. Bird, by the way, came back, and Jake Bird came back in. He allowed a hit, but he also struck out a guy. And 2/3 of an inning, Hedrick came in, got out of that inning. Cruz, like I said, an inning and a third, and then we got the good Bednar. And the Yankees took advantage of Mark Leiter Jr. because that's his carryover from the Yankee season. We'll speak to you all tomorrow. We'll have a post-game show again. Thanks for listening. And Adam, I know you're on Broadway, but good luck in prison.